Hare Krishna. Welcome back to my channel. I am Radhika Piyari and happy Radhashtami to all of you. Today is the day when we celebrate Radhashtami, which means the appearance day of Srimati Radharani. So I decided to make a video on her identity or who is actually Srimati Radharani. Now, before starting the video, I just wanted to share that I personally do not have that qualification that I can understand or explain completely that what is the position of Srimati Radharani, but because of the mercy of our previous acharyas and the Vaishnavas and the scriptures, what they have given to us, we are able to understand little bit, like a drop of that ocean, little bit we can understand about the potency and about the identity of Srimati Radharani. So that is why I thought that just a small video I will be sharing about who Srimati Radharani really is. In this material world, there are so many misconceptions about Srimati Radharani. Some consider her as an ordinary woman, or some consider her as a village girl, some consider her as just a lover of Krishna, some consider her as some very special lady of this material world. So like there are so many different misconceptions of this material world. Now our acharyas explain that understanding the subject matter of Srimati Radharani is such a confidential matter, and it's so mystery and it's so much confusion for the materialist people that they often think that this is just a normal material affair between a boy and a girl. So if you go into the scripture text and if you learn from the Vaishnava acharyas, you will understand actually that how divinely and how potent and supremely elevated is the position of Srimati Radharani. So now in simple terms, if we have to understand from the Siddhanta point of view who Srimati Radharani is, then we have to refer to the scriptures. Great saints and Vaishnava acharyas have explained this very beautiful words that Radha Krishna Ek Atma Dui Dehadhari. So these two transcendentalists, Radha and Krishna, they are actually one, but they have become two. One has become two to enjoy. That's like a basic understanding of who Radharani and Krishna is. And our scriptures also explain that how perfect Krishna is. He's Bhagwan, he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, how perfect he is. So for him to find that pleasure or bliss which he is perfect of, he needs to enjoy with someone who is also perfect like him or who is identical to him. And that is why Srimati Radharani and Krishna are actually identical. There is no difference between both of them. Srimati Radharani and Krishna are like heat and fire. So the thing is, how from fire we cannot separate the heat, similar ways from the potent you cannot separate the potency. And if something is potent, it means that the potency is present there. So like how we cannot separate these two things, that's how we cannot separate Radharani and Krishna. That's how connected they are. That's how identical they are. To understand this more deeply, we will go into the Siddhanta or the philosophical aspect of it. So Radharani is actually the Ladini Shakti, the internal potency of the Lord. She is actually a manifestation of Krishna's love. Now how to understand this is that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, he has three kinds of potencies. Like you have to understand that this three kind of potencies. One is the Bahiranga Shakti, or which is the external potency. Then comes the Tashta Shakti, which is the marginal potency. And then it comes the third one, which is the internal potency or the Antarangi Shakti. Now from this unlimited potencies of Krishna, these three potencies, which how it has been divided. So the Bahirangi Shakti or the external potency is through which this material universe, Mahamaya, and all the dealings of this material world has been created. Now this is just 1/4 of the creation. The material world is just the 1/4 of the creation from this external potency of the Lord which has been created. Now second one comes the marginal potency, which is the Tatashta Shakti. Now this Tatashta Shakti is actually the Jivatma, which is like you and I, the conditioned souls, and that is why as living entities, as conditioned souls or as as these marginal potencies, we get bound to either drift towards the external potency of the Lord, which is the Mahamaya or the Maya Shakti, or we get, if we become spiritual, then we get towards the Antarangini Shakti, which is the internal potency of the Lord. So that is why we are like the middle people between the, or the entities between the external and the material and internal potencies. Now the third one comes is the internal potency, which is the Antarangini Shakti. Now this Antarangini Shakti is also having three aspects. So one is the Sandhini Shakti, the second one is the Sambit, and the third one is the Ladini Shakti. Now I'll just explain things in very brief. So now this Sandhini Shakti is what? The Sandhini Shakti is the potency by which the Lord manifests his existential appearance or manifestation. So where the Lord manifests his own existence on it. So he, how we know Krishna as himself is through this Sandhini Shakti. This is actually through that potency. Now this, the essence or the essentialness of this particular potency is actually Shuddha Sattva. Shuddha Sattva is pure goodness, which is above even the, like it is like transcendental goodness. So now Krishna's mother, father, his paraphernalia, his bedding, his, seeds, his ornaments, everything are actually part of Shuddha Sattva. So this goes in one way. The second one comes the Sambit Shakti. Now this Sambit Shakti is actually the knowledge through which Krishna knows, and also Krishna makes other know people, or all of us, that he is actually the supreme personality of Godhead. So this is actually the knowledge part, which is the Sambit Shakti. Now the third one comes is the Ladini Shakti. This Ladini Shakti or this pleasure potency is the way through which the Lord experiences bliss, and he also nourishes his devotees. He also makes his devotees experience that same bliss. This is the only potency through which the Lord and his devotees, they actually understand what love is together. So Ladini Shakti is actually nourishment of that mellow or that pleasure, where the Lord gets pleasure and the devotees get pleasure by loving the Lord. So this is the bliss part, what this particular potency talks about, and this is one of the topmost potency, because Radharani is the one who is actually the embodiment of this Ladini Shakti. So the manifestation of that Ladini Shakti is actually Radharani. The essence of this Ladini Shakti is love of God. Now how this love of God manifests is in the form of bhava or emotion. Now the ultimate bhava is actually Mahabhava. It's the topmost bhava, which is called Prema, and Radharani is the embodiment of that Mahabhav. She is the sent person, fully equipped, fully covered with that Mahabhav. Her every part, her every senses, everything, all the transcendental senses and her jewelry, everything she has is just for giving Krishna bliss. When Krishna looks at her, her beauty increases because Krishna gets attracted to her, so her beauty increases just for giving more pleasure to Krishna. So that's how this Ladini Shakti has been described as. The Sandhini portion of Sri Krishna's potency manifests into or presents into the Sandhini part, which is the appearance of Sri Krishna, the form of Sri Krishna, and the Ladini feature presents it as Srimati Radharani. So that's how the same one Lord, through his potency, manifests into two, to enjoy transcendental loving pastimes, to experience bliss, and to also give bliss to his devotees. Now I'm going to share with you the appearance of Srimati Radharani in Goloka. Now in the spiritual world, time is very inconspicuous, like it's hidden, it's something you cannot trace, it doesn't actually appear. Like not like this material world where the main factor through which this particular material world functions is kala or time, but in the spiritual world it has no work. So it's just inconspicuous, it's like kind of hidden. So we cannot really track something which has happened. It is like time immemorial, or it is like eternal. It is something we cannot understand with our imperfect senses. So it's actually part of the spiritual world in a way that these kind of events you cannot really track down when it happened. There's no timelines like that. But yes, it is eternal, it is Sanatan. So the reference which I am going to explain about the appearance of Srimati Radharani in Goloka is actually taken from Narada Pancharatra. In Goloka Vrindavan, there is a place called Rasa Mandala. Now, one side of the Rasa Mandala, there is a mountain called Shatashringa. Now, this same Shatashringa is actually the Govardhan mountain, which appeared in the Bhumandala, which is the earthly plane. And we all know, or if you don't know, this Govardhan mountain, which used to be very, very big during the time of Dwapar Yuga, is actually considered as a love of Radharani for Krishna. So it is, the Shatashringa mountain is just manifested in this material world of Gokul Vrindavan as Govardhan. So now, near that mountain, there was actually a garden. The Lord of the Universe, Sri Krishna himself, he was sitting on a golden, like a Ratna Simhasana. And this Lord, like the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as soon as he desires something, a desire comes to his mind, it manifests. The Lord is so potent that as soon as he desires something, with just his desire, everything manifests. That's how powerful the Supreme Personality of Godhead's potencies are. So he desires in his mind to enjoy, and as soon as he desires, from his left side comes a Devi, who is actually Srimati Radharani. She's so beautiful, like her glow is like millions of moons. Now, these descriptions which are given in the scriptures, now because there is no comparison we can do other than this material world, that is why it is been connected with millions of moons, or being beautiful like this flower or this like that and all that. But we have to understand that in spiritual beauty or spiritual terms, there is actually no comparison, but just for reference basis, these comparisons are done. So like her beauty was like millions of moon. She's wearing this multi flowers, because in the Rasa Mandala, these multi flowers or Malika flowers are very much prominent. So she's wearing these flowers, and she started smiling at Lord Shri Krishna. So the left side actually came out as Srimati Radharani, and the right side remained himself as Shri Krishna. So that one personality became two. So Radharani, as soon as she started smiling at Krishna, and Krishna desired to enjoy or have pastimes with her, she ran. She ran to pick up flower for him. And as soon as she ran, because she ran, that is why her name is actually Radha. Why? Because Ra comes from the word Rasa Mandala, because she appeared in Rasa Mandala for the excitement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who's a Ramana, who's actually a Ramana, and because she ran, means Dhavamana. So she ran, which is called, the word is actually Dhavamana. That is why she is called Radha. So whenever the word Radha comes, it actually gives a supreme bliss or ecstasy to the Supreme Lord, because she's very eager to run and approach the lotus feet of Sri Krishna and serve him. So she's very, very enthusiastic in serving Sri Krishna. So this is what is explained in the Narada Pancharatra. The other part of it is that Srimati Radharani, her hair pores, from there all the gopis came out. All the gopis came out from her hair pores, and then from Sri Krishna's hair pores came out all the gopas. Now from the left side of Srimati Radharani came Mahalakshmi. Now this Mahalakshmi is in Vaikunta, who's residing with Lord Narayana, who's another expansion of Sri Krishna. And then this Mahalakshmi then expands further, like you can say a part and parcel of Mahalakshmi is actually Rajalakshmi, who gives wealth and prestige to the kings. Now from that Rajalakshmi, the part and parcel of her is Martya Lakshmi, who is actually present in the house of the Grihastha as goddess of fortune, and she is like the predominating deity of the crops. So this is actually a very brief description about Radharani, and how from her potencies all the pleasure potencies of the Lord manifest. So Srimati Radharani is the supreme goddess, the supreme potency, who actually gives this pleasure to Krishna. So that is why when we chant the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So this term Hare is actually that internal potency, that pleasure potency we call as a Ladini Shakti. So before approaching the potent, we approach the potency, and that potency is actually Srimati Radharani. So whenever you are seeing Krishna, Radharani is not absent, Radharani is there. And whenever we are looking at Radharani, Krishna is there, because they cannot be separated. So same like how heat and fire cannot be separated from each other. So I hope I was able to give a little gist about how precious and how how identical Srimati Radharani is to Krishna, and she is not some ordinary lady or some ordinary woman of this material world. She is actually Sri Krishna himself, just manifested in that beautiful complexion of golden complexion and that beautiful appearance, and to give pleasure to Krishna and nourishment to the devotees. So thank you so much for watching. Happy Radhashtami to all of you once again. Keep remembering her glories and seeking her blessings. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.